have pretty much been living in Airbnbs for the past almost 3 years, and I want to walk you through my process of booking, my hacks, my tricks, and my secrets because I think I've cracked the code. Obviously, first thing we're gonna do is fill in where we're going and then how many people. Now, here's hack number one. If you are flexible on your dates or haven't bought your plane ticket yet, I always recommend looking for your Airbnb before looking for your flight ticket. You can actually go down here and move the dates around so it gives you the best possible stay in that range. But if you are able to move it 1 or 2 days down the line, well, it obviously gives you even more options. So for example, I'm filling out that I'm going to Miami for an entire month and that I'm flexible up to 3 days. So that means that my stay can start 3 days earlier or end 3 days later. That's basically what it means down here. And the bigger your range is, the better options you're going to get. And usually when you're on Airbnb, you'll get to this page and you'll just start scrolling, looking through and selecting your favorite options. But I'm gonna tell you how I do it. Instead of scrolling automatically, I go to filters right away. Obviously, I personally do entire homes since I am staying at least for 1 month in each place. I switch cities every month. And since I travel full time, I obviously want to feel comfortable. So I always go for an entire home. But this part's up to you. Right here, add your price range. But I always recommend going a little higher than your real budget. And I'm going to tell you why towards the end, and this hack will actually save you a lot of money. And now, if you are very picky with a certain amenity or room type or something like that, obviously add it here in the filter. But me personally, I leave everything else blank. I'll scroll down. You have all these different features. And my ultimate hack is going straight to guest favorites. If you go straight to guest favorite, you know that this Airbnb is good. It's at least going to have a 4.8 rating or higher. And trust me, I've stayed in a lot of Airbnbs, and even if it has a 4.7, it means that something just didn't feel right to the other people that stayed there. And there's a reason why they didn't give it a full 5 stars. So adding in this filter just gives you more certainty that you're going to stay in a place that's going to feel great. And just like that, you narrowed it down from over 1,000 homes all the way down to 747, which obviously makes it a lot easier to choose from. There's still a lot, but it's a lot easier. Now from here, you'll start searching and you'll start seeing that there's a common trait between all the properties. They all look stunning. They all have good pictures, which is super important on Airbnb. They all have good ratings. They have lots of ratings, which you can read from and actually understand, okay, what did people like about it? What could be kind of like a con about this property? Because it doesn't mean that we're looking for the perfect property. Like every place is going to have each little thing that you don't like. Right now, I'm in an Airbnb in Dubai, and there's actually a handful of things that I don't like, even though I selected a property from guest favorite. These are all options that just by looking at them, you can tell they're a good stay, like clean decor, nice environment, good lighting. I already love a lot of these options. But here's where I take it a step further, and this is what most people don't think about. When you go down to the filters, there's obviously a ton of filters, but there's one filter in specific that just really changed the game for me when booking on Airbnb. And every time I use this filter, I know I'm going to show up to a property that is a 5-star. And I'm going to be totally honest, right now in Dubai, when I added this filter, the properties just went straight outside of my budget range. So I wasn't able to use the filter. Sometimes you won't be able to use the filter, but when you have options that this filter applies to, book it, because honestly, it's so worth it coming from somebody who has lived in Airbnbs for years now. And that filter, drum roll, is this one right here, king bed. Automatically, we went from over 1,000 to 747 with good reviews, and now down to 162 homes. And let me explain the train of thought behind this and what I've noticed actually testing it out and seeing it. When you go to an Airbnb and the host decides to put a king bed in the property, you already know that this host isn't skimping out on the little details. Like, they've thought about the things that they're going to put inside that Airbnb. You know that you're going to show up and a chair is not just going to break like it happened here in Dubai, because obviously they just furnished it with IKEA stuff, and that's okay. But when you have a host thinking about, let me put the best bed so that my clients that come to stay at this property feel comfortable, it's a whole different experience. You'll notice that it's usually the type of host that also leaves a welcome basket for you, that has thought about, okay, they're going to need towels, they're going to need to switch things out if they're staying for a month, they're going to need things to cook with, and even if it's just like a weekend trip, it's a much better experience if you have a host that's thinking about the little details. So automatically here, I have the options and I'm swiping through and I see things that that they look good. It's something that I would love to stay a month in, and something that I know is going to feel just like home no matter where I am in the world. And that's exactly what I look for when traveling, and I'm sure it's what you look for too. And now here's where the fun part begins, and I feel like as a traveler, this is my like dopamine rush of online shopping. I spend my time on Airbnb now looking for where I'm going to go, looking for where I'm going to stay, and I swipe through every picture, and I recommend that you do the same. Look at the little details, look at the decor. If there's things that just don't click, go to the next one. There's tons of properties. Like, we're so lucky nowadays to have Airbnb and being able to go to the most remote corner of the world. Like, I stayed in the tiniest little town in Italy with 4 streets, and there was tons of Airbnb options to choose from, and that's honestly one of the best Airbnb experiences I've had all over the world, in this little tiny remote town in Italy. So be picky, look at the little tiny details, because that's really what's going to make the difference. So honestly, scrolling down, I can see they have a kitchen, I can be comfortable, I can cook in it. Like, I see there's different seating areas. If you work remotely like I do, make sure that you have a desk to sit from, that you're going to be comfortable, that you have an outlet nearby, washer and dryer, gym, amenities. But here's where the most important part comes in, and it's actually scrolling down to the reviews. I honestly didn't understand the power of reviews before, and I didn't realize how important they are. But now that I literally rely, like, where I'm going to stay a full month at based on other people's reviews, I make sure that when I'm leaving a review, like, I'm making a list, pros and cons. I'm saying everything I liked or didn't like about the place. And that's exactly what I spend a lot of time on when I'm picking an Airbnb. Like, when I'm down to 5 or 6, the difference it makes is coming down to what reviews people have left and what they're saying about the property. Obviously here you can see it's a 5-star property. This home is in the top 1%, and there's little things that you'll see Airbnb puts around the website that literally just give you that peace of mind, like, oh, I'm picking a good one. Normally, if I don't have time and I'm just skimming through, I'll read these right here, where it basically grabs the average of the reviews. And the most important one that I look at is location. There comes a moment where all the houses kind of have like similar styles depending on where you're going to stay. In Miami, you're going to see that everything has good lighting, you have a pool, or you might be near the beach. Like, depending on what area you're looking at, there's going to be common traits. But when it comes down to location, you're really going to have a big hindsight as, is it walkable? Do I need a car? Are there grocery stores nearby? Are there coffee shops nearby? And that is so important when you are traveling to a location. So that is honestly the first one I look at. The second one would be cleanliness, and then the third one is value. Value is so cool because at the end of your stay on Airbnb, when they tell you to leave a rating, after you answer all the things, it asks you, like, was what you paid worth what you got? And I think that basically sums up everything. If there's one thing you need to look at, because really you're on a time crunch, like, you need to book your next travel location, that's the one to look at. Value. Now, obviously, if I like the property, I'm going to save it and I'm going to create a wish list. As you can see, I do this often. And one of the new features I love that Airbnb added is that you can actually add notes to your wish list. So for example, when I'm comparing and like there's things that are pretty similar, like they're all 5 stars, they're all high ratings, like they all have good reviews, I start adding in, okay, it has 2 working areas, it has a king bed, 3 desks, a sauna, like any pros that I see that will make that final decision a lot easier to make. So I can easily just skim down through my list and see, okay, this one has this one doesn't have that. This right here is actually an Airbnb in Brazil that I stayed at, and it is one of the most comfortable, cozy, and like homey Airbnbs that I've stayed at in the world. Like, I have like a list of top 3. This one's definitely on there. So what I started doing in the travel guides that I create is I actually have an entire section of where to stay, the top hotels, but I actually have a hand-picked, curated list of Airbnbs for that specific city with all the checks and my entire process that I do, so that it's a lot easier for you to just go and pick from a handful instead of thousands and thousands to choose from. Even though nowadays a lot of Airbnbs have like that instant booking where you can automatically reserve it, I never ever recommend doing that. You want to make sure that the host is responsive. You don't want to show up one day in a place that you're new to, where you know nothing or no one, and then have the Airbnb like not exist, or maybe the host not even know that you're coming. You never ever want to do that. So I always make sure that I'm messaging the person, that we've talked, that I've asked something random. It doesn't even have to be something big. Like, if they don't mention the Wi-Fi, that's usually my go-to question. Like, hey, how's the Wi-Fi speed? You can ask anything about the location, like anything that you really care about, like something that you have top of mind, go ahead and ask it. Now, not only are we asking a question, but if you are staying for either more than 7 days or about like a long-term month at a time or even longer, always just ask them if they could do a better price. I would say that honestly 80% of the times that I've asked, the hosts have lowered the price. And it doesn't have to be like a drastic amount, but it's like that confirmation of, okay, the host is responsive. They've also looked at my profile profile, because you as a booking person, you have your own profile. They can see what kinds of reviews the hosts have left for you, because hosts leave reviews for you too. They can see what kind of reviews you also leave for the places that you're staying at. So I just feel like it's that type of connection of, okay, like I also liked what I've read about you here. Come stay at my property, especially for someone like me who's staying for a month at a time. And this is the exact message that I'm sending. Hey Yumi, which is the name of the host. I'm planning on staying at your property from March 1st to March 30th. Right now the total comes out to $2,000. Could you do $1,800? Super simple. You're telling them the dates, you're telling them how much your total is already with the taxes and what the ideal amount is. They'll respond yes or no, and if it's a yes, they send you a special offer, which you normally have 12 to 24 hours to confirm, and automatically you're booked. You know the host is responsive, you know they're waiting for you, and it's just like that confirmation of, okay, I'm going to a place, it's not going to be a scam. I've talked to the person has talked to me. Like, it's that common ground. And when this has happened, I've noticed that the Airbnbs have actually been worth the value that I'm paying and a good place to stay at. Another huge hack that will always save you more money is doing a long-term stay versus a short-term stay. That's why for long stays, I never go the hotel route, but rather the Airbnb route, where you get the actual price for the stay. You're not actually paying exactly the price per night. So for example, for this Miami stay, if we did exactly 1 week, let's see what the total comes out to. So you can see $127 for 6 nights, the cleaning fee, Airbnb fee, so you have a total of $1,029. If you did 2 weeks, let's see what the total comes out to. Automatically, you get the weekly stay discount, which is exactly why I love Airbnb for long stays, even if it's just longer than the 7 days, and it's $2,168. Now let's do a 3-week stay. So from the 1st, let's say, to the 22nd, 3 weeks exactly. You automatically see here that you get more weekly discounts, and the total is $3,173. Now here's where it gets super interesting, and this applies to anywhere in the world. 99% of the Airbnbs have discounts for staying long term. Look at this. So that was $3,173. Now if you did the full month stay, so from March 1st to April 1st, the price goes to $3,988. So for an entire month, you're just paying like $700 more, when a week was like $1,200. You get a monthly stay discount of $472. And like I mentioned, this applies to absolutely every Airbnb, and it's proportionate to the amount that you're paying. So if you're looking for a place and it's $10,000, then you get like a $2,000 discount. If you're looking for a place that's $1,000, then you get like a $100 discount. It's actually completely worth it, and it saves you so much money when you're planning to travel and when you have that possibility of staying long term at a place. That's why when it comes down to traveling, I will always pick a long stay versus a short stay where I'm trying to get to see the place, but I also have to work, so I can't balance it all. I'd rather stay long term, feel like I'm at home in that place, get to experience it like a local, stay in an Airbnb that feels like home, and actually experience the culture without rushing and just being back to back on an itinerary. So there you have it. I currently have travel guides for Albania, Bucios, Brazil, Tulum, Mexico, Medellin, Colombia, Crete, Greece, and there's so many more that I want to do. So let me know in the comments what city you think I should do next. And obviously I'll see you right back on this same channel next time. Bye-bye.